Alright, guys and gals, we're going to learn about the new laws that Charles V established in this second news blast. Yeah! But first, we need to start with a guy that we're all too familiar with, a guy named Christopher Columbus. As we all know, Christopher Columbus in the year 1492 sailed the ocean blue for what they thought was going to be the new alternative trade route to India. But when he got to this new land, he realized that this is not India, this is a new land. Once word got back to Europe, this was an uncharted territory, a new world. All of Europe started to make plans and preparations for going and designating spots and territories in this newfound world. Among these countries, Spain was one of the ones who decided to engage in these shipping endeavors in order to explore the uncharted territories of what would now be known as South America and the Latin Americas. But at the time they were known as the Indies. The reason why they wanted to go to this new world was not only to gain the resources that were in that land, but also to preach the gospel in the name of Christ. So some of the places that Spain began to colonize in this new world and what is now known as Latin America were Mexico, Peru, Venezuela, and other countries at that time. Spain began to colonize this new world into what is called the encomienda system. Now, the encomienda system is basically where the King of Spain, he essentially designates somebody as a leader over a given allotment of territory in the new world, and in turn they would mine the resources and accumulate whatever goods and things were over there so that they could ship it back to Spain and increase their wealth. The people that the king would put into these spots were called encomendores, and these encomendores could be conquistadors, which are basically soldiers who are trying to conquer the new worlds and gain new territories. They could also have been soldiers, or in some rare cases, priests. These encomendores were tasked with overseeing the work of the native peoples of that land, and they were to provide for them, care for them, as well as preach the gospel to them. But oftentimes this didn't go out so well. So basically, there was a guy named Bartolome de las Casas, and he grew up as an encomendore in this new land. And he saw all the atrocities that the encomendores were doing to the native peoples of the lands, like raping them, malnutrition, and just beating them to a pulp at times. So what he did was he decided that I need to stop this. And so as a Dominican monk, he traveled back to Spain to try to plead with Charles V to do something about this, that there needs to be a change in how these encomendores and the encomienda system is running and operating in the New World. However, he was met with some reluctance and opposition by a guy named Juan Ginés de Sepulveda. Now, Sepulveda argued that this was a justifiable system because of the Aristotelian thought that says that people, there are certain people who are meant to be slaves and others are meant to be rulers over them. Las Casas vehemently disagreed and decided to debate him at what was called the Valladolid debate of 1452 in Spain. So they both brought their ideas before Charles V, the King of Spain, and Charles V decided to side with Bartolome in his propositions for new structures in the Indies. These new laws were established on November 20th, 1452, and they basically designated who should be governing in the territories and basically how they should be treating the slaves in a right manner. This was huge for Christianity because it basically promoted freedom and justice for all in this new unexplored territory.